Hey everybody, it's Josh Rutledge, your co-host for FearScape Paranormal Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to support us more, please head over to our website, FearScapePodcast.com. There you can click on store and browse some really awesome t-shirts and maybe pick a couple up, or even go to our Patreon page and see how you can support us monthly. We love bringing you awesome content just as much as you like listening to it. Enjoy the show.
Hello. I'm so glad you could join us. I hope you brought your blanket to hide under. The spooky crew is going to discuss things and events from other realms. Ghosts, cryptids, aliens. Be sure to hold your blanket extra tight as the boys take you deep into the FearScape.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of FearScape here on the FearScape Paranormal Podcast. That's redundant.
Yeah.
No, I am your host, Stefan Gearhart, joined as usual by my non-lumpishly, extra lovingly beautiful co-host, Josh Rutledge.
Thank you very much.
You are non-lumpishly. You are just one solid slab of meat.
Yep.
Just solid.
I'm going to change my name to Slab.
Slab Bradley. So we've got an interesting episode tonight. We're going to be covering another cryptid because we love cryptids so much.
Yep.
And this is one of the most famous ones. I would say one of the most famous along the same lines as Bigfoot and Nessie. This one is right up there. Most people have heard of it. We're going to be talking about the Jersey Devil.
Definitely one of the oldest in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be talking about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we have some spooky news and some creepy catch-up. It has been one hell of a week.
Yes,
so
crazy.
Let's go ahead and get some spooky news out of the way because it's just fun. This one's fun.
Okay.
All right, so on spooky news this week, this comes from allaboutspells.com, but of course it's pulled from another website. This headline says, Satanic plaque and altar unearthed in the Queen's Holyrood Park in Scotland. And this says... Holyrood, the seat of Scottish royals. The Scotsman announced that the satanic objects were found on Winnie Hill above St. Margaret's Loch in Holyrood Park in Edinburgh. Holyrood Park, which is also known as the Queen's Park, is a royal park that remains part of the Hollywood Palace. I keep saying Hollywood. It's Holyrood Palace. The Queen's official residence while she's in Scotland. In a secluded area of the park, archaeologists unearthed two mysterious objects, including a metal plaque depicting an upside-down pentagram with a horned beast in the center, most likely the demonic entity Baphomet, and an altar with undisclosed display objects around the plinth. While news outlets are calling the objects pagan, the symbology appears more associated with Satanism and devil worship. It goes on a little bit to talk about the park, that it was established by King David I of Scotland in 1128 AD as the royal hunting grounds for Holyrood Abbey. Holyrood Palace, also known as the Royal Palace, started as a lodging within the abbey but was eventually expanded into a substantial palace which served as the principal residence of the kings and queens of Scots since the 16th century. There's a YouTube video here that you can watch. It shows you pictures. It's pretty creepy looking. I'll show you the picture just on the screen cap there. Pretty interesting. So, I mean, this all the satanic stuff, this whole symbolism, all that stuff didn't really come about until the 20th century, which makes it very, very interesting.
Right.
It's like, and it was unearthed. I mean, it didn't look like someone had recently put it there.
Well, I mean, I have to ask. So you're pagan.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, do you see pagan or do you see demonic?
I see demonic.
Okay.
Well, mostly because it looks like Baphomet is the big part. That's a big satanic thing. Baphomet was not even mentioned or worshipped in Celtic. I mean, that's a Middle Eastern god.
Okay.
You know, like unless some Baphomet worshippers somehow made their way to Scotland hundreds and thousands, or not thousands, but hundreds of years ago, which is possible. Sure.
You got the silk trades. And
yeah,
the spice
I mean,
trades
anything's possible, but even then, in combination with the upside down pentagram, no. Once again, those things were put together mostly by Anton LaVey and, you know, some of the Golden Dawn stuff and stuff like that. A lot of that all came out of that. But in terms of Wicca, no, not even at all. I mean, it's literally a goat's head with some Celtic knotwork with an upside down star. I mean,
okay, well.
So I don't know. So the one side of me says, ooh, neat. If that's the case, how the hell did that end up there?
Right.
You know, who knows? Did a time traveler put it there? Like, what is it? Did Anton LaVey put it there sometime in the 20th century?
Did somebody throw it into the ether from New York and it ended up there?
Who knows? Who knows? But then the other side of me is like, if it's not, it's like, why? And like I said, it would not surprise me. LaVey was so LaVeyan. Like, he was so arrogant and so pompous. Like, he's such an interesting individual.
Well, I think it's a misclassification in the Bible. It's not the Leviathan.
Yeah, it's the Leviathan. Oh, he would have loved that, man. He would have absolutely loved that. But yeah, so no, very interesting. But yeah, you can check out the video. Just put, you know, the Holyrood. That's YROOD, and put satanic altar, and you should be able to find a YouTube video and watch it. It's pretty interesting.
And probably if you mistype and put in Hollywood satanic altar, you're probably still getting.
Well, then you're going to get Anton LaVey's, because that was out in California, so you're good to go there. Yeah. So in the '60s, I mean, that was the Scientology of today. Right. So I mean, that's what Tom Cruise and those boys of his caliber. So we're talking like, you know, Gary Cooper and those guys. They were probably all secretly Satanists. So. They just didn't know it. Or we didn't, one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other.
I'm going to say that Jimmy Stewart had to be a Satanist. I just want to worship Satan. I just want to say that Baphomet, if you just come down and just make my peenie bigger, I swear I'll use it for you. I swear I'll just, Baphomet, Lord Satan, just come on down and just tell me what to do. That's my Jimmy Stewart impression. It slid into Don Knotts there for a second, but Andy. But yeah. Anyways, that's my spooky news.
That was your impression of him playing Don Knotts.
Yes, that's it. Jimmy Stewart as Don Knotts. Yeah. You're welcome. But yeah, so that was my spooky news. So let's move right into creepy catch up.
Creepy catch-up. Creepy catch-up. Creepy catch-up. Creepy catch-up. Y'all, it's creepy.
So, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, because mine is cray-cray. So I had something happen today, but of course I've had some other things happen as well. So it's like, once again, we talk about this. It's like, man, when the doors get open, they get open. The other night I was sleeping in bed and felt something grab my foot. And so I have 2 cats and a dog, and so I thought, it's Kylo. He's totally messing with my foot. And then I look over to the right of me. He's laying next to me on my hip. And I was like, had to be Leia. And so I look over to the left of me. She's over on the other side of Sarah, dead asleep. And I was like, well, then it must have been Kenobi, my dog. Nope, he's next to me as well. And Sarah's all the way on the other side of the bed.
Wow.
Nobody there, unless Paul, my roommate, snuck into the room and grabbed my foot, which is extra creepy for a whole nother reason.
Well, he was doing the worm. When he
Then, something grabbed my foot. Yeah. Like, because it woke me up. Like, somebody pulled my leg, you know.
Well, you're not pulling my leg.
No. And so I thought it'd be Kylo, because, I mean, he's a 15-pound cat. He's got no claws, and he can pull hard. I mean, so I just assumed it was him. It was not. And then the spookiest of the creepy catch-up is actually happened today at work. Two things happened to me while I was talking to you via Messenger. We were talking about some things I'm sure you're going to mention here.
Yep.
But anyways, like I'm just sitting there, and there's a marker, a Sharpie that's on my desk, and I watch it flick and slide across my desk. Probably, I would say, about 7 inches at most. I'm not good with measuring stuff, but I sent you a picture of where it was and where it landed. It was probably 6 or 7 inches, and I saw it move.
And so for those who might be thinking, oh, it just the wind, like the AC kicked on and it rolled. It did not roll, right?
No, it's first of all, it's got a cap,
right.
So it's not going to roll. And it was up against tape thing as well as a sticky notes, right? I mean, I've been working there over a year. No, I've got pens with no caps. They don't roll. I mean, it's even there. I mean, and the heat is underneath a table that's not even attached to my desk. So no, it's not the heat coming on, and it's cold as balls here. So it's like the heat's been on.
Yeah.
And that marker's been sitting there for like 2-3 days. Like I haven't needed it since like early last week, and so that really freaked me out. And so I took a picture of where it was, or where it landed, and then I put it back to where I knew it was, and so I could show you. And then later on, I get a bag of popcorn, and I always get we don't have bowls, so I always get a paper plate, and I dump the popcorn on there, because who likes reaching into a greasy popcorn bag?
Butterfingers.
You get butterfingers and butter knuckles, dude. And you try punching somebody with butter knuckles,
his hand slips off.
Yeah, it's gross. But anyway, so I've got the bag sitting on the plate, and I got distracted. I was going to do something real quick, and all of a sudden, it twists. Like, it twists and moves. Like, so it's like if you've ever seen, like, a disc sitting on something and it'll twist and then slide.
Yeah.
That's what it did. It twisted and slid. And now, I guess maybe that I can say, I mean, with the heat from the popcorn and the cold desk, I don't know. But, I mean, those two instances within, like, what was it, like within an hour, half hour, it was enough to give me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, and the fact that of when it was occurring was right around when we were messaging about some really weird stuff.
Yeah, and so, yes, I guarantee you, I mean, this building that we're in, I think it was built in the 19 teens, I think, or the 1920s. It's been there a long time. It's been a number of things. It was a schoolhouse at one point. It was like a community center at another point. I mean, there's an old basketball stadium upstairs. I mean, it's really small. It's like one of those half courts, but it's upstairs. We don't ever use that section up there because we just use downstairs. But I mean, it's an old building. It's in Portland, and I've definitely had experiences there. If you're a longtime listener, you've heard that, I've had things grab me on the shoulder and pull me back while I've been in there and things like that. But it's been a minute since I've had anything happen in there.
And the toilet paper fell off when you were in the bathroom that one time?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So it's been a minute. It's been a couple months since that happened. And then before that, I mean, it'd been a little bit longer than that before something grabbed me or touched me there. So that's the first time in a while. But it just synced up with what was going on. And
and then another thing for you to call back to. So I was listening to the episode we did on I don't know, 2 episodes ago, and you were talking about your creepy catch up in that was at your new house, and you said in that episode it's not like anything has punched me or anything, and then fast forward to the creepy catch up you gave in the last episode. You're at the Bardstown,
right? And
it punched you.
Yeah. Now I don't think that those are similar spirits, but
still,
yeah, it's still
like
very. It's
passed
like
it down the grapevine or something. Hey, punches.
They're like, hey, next door ghost.
Yeah,
I need you. Are you getting in that taxi cab?
It's like the 101 Dalmatians. They're all they're howling across it. It's all
it's like, it's like Jesus, man. That's my creepy catch up for the week, and if that's happened twice today, I just wonder what tonight's gonna be like.
Set up a camera.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
So are you done?
I'm done
for now. Okay. So mine is man.
It's a man, or is it a chicken boo?
It could be a cat dog. So. Let's go back to, I don't know, like this past weekend, we went to Half Price Books. I was going to see if I could pick up anything paranormal type stuff or whatever. been really on a kick lately of buying a lot of paranormal type books.
Welcome to hosting a paranormal
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. And what's funny is I'm not a really big reader. Like it's hard for me to pick up a book and really read it all the way through. So I do a lot of audiobooks. But some of the stuff I want to read isn't available on an audiobook.
Right.
And then other things that I do have on an audiobook, I still want to be able to have to reference back and say, hey, remember this place in this chapter.
Well, what we can do is you can give me the book. I'll read it out loud. That way I get to read the book like a normal person. And then I'll read it out loud and record it, and then you
I
can listen to it.
There you go. Problem solved.
I would laugh if this wasn't the first time I've done that.
See a need, solve a need, right?
Yep.
So anyways, we're at Half Price Books. And I'm just kind of over in the mysticism section or whatever.
Metaphysical, yeah.
Metaphysical, whatever. So what, you say mysticism, I say whatever. So
Mythology.
yeah. I'm just kind of scanning the bookshelves, looking to see if anything kind of pops out at me. And I come across this book on chakras.
Or chakras. I don't know. I've heard both. Santosh yells at me all the time. He says it's chakras, but I hear chakras. I don't know.
I've always heard chakras.
Right. He's been yogically trained by actual Indians, and he said it's chakra.
Well,
but I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
It's like, is it GIF or GIF?
Right. I'm like, I don't. Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Anyway, so that
and it's GIF, by the way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a peanut butter.
No, exactly. Choosy moms choose GIF.
Yep.
Anyway, so just kind of scanning along, and I see that book, and I swear, and maybe it's the light or something playing eyes or whatever, but I swear it wiggles, right? So like I kind of ignore it, and I go along, I continue to kind of scan the spines of the
There's
books.
some Harry Potter books happening, man.
So then I come back to it. I swear it moves again. So I pick it up, right? Pull it down off the shelf, randomly open it to a page, and the page that I randomly open it to is all about the throat chakra, which is all about the guru and the seeker and like finding information and taking you on a journey and all this kind of stuff.
Did a little bibliomancy.
So I'm like, first of all, I'm like, well, is it the middle of the book? Because a lot of books open to the middle automatically, right? So I'm like, check. No, it's not in the middle of the book. It's not even really close to the middle of the book. So anyway, so I go and I'm sitting in the children's section with my kids, and they're reading their books or whatever, and I'm going to take a picture and send it to you. So then I like reach down and to open it up to the page and I'm thinking I'm going to have to flip a couple in to get to the page I want to take a picture of. No, it does it again. Directly opens up to that page.
Now the skeptic in me says that someone's opened up to that page before and bent the binding just a hair on that crease, maybe. That's the small skeptic in me.
Right. I mean, the page wasn't dog-eared.
Regardless, if we look at fate and synchronicity and things like that, then that person was meant to do that.
Right, exactly. So
anyway.
Ha-ha! Joke's on you. So
Skeptics.
Oh.
I'm coining that, by the way.
Okay.
Hashtag skeptics.
So so that was one thing. So the next thing is, like yesterday, I want to say, so the last 3 nights as I've gone to bed, I've woken up, but not like fully awake, like half awake. Like I'm not really sure if I'm awake or I'm still dreaming. My eyes are still closed. There's really nothing that wakes me up.
Right.
But I'm seeing imagery, like in my vision, but not. My eyes are closed.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain it.
Are you seeing visuals or your room?
Visuals.
Okay, so yeah, you're visualizing.
So
I mean, you're getting ready to process dreaming, I'm sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that happens though is that I can say, I want to see, show me the truth, and then in my head I say the name Indrid Cold, and then in my visions I see a bunch of different alien faces.
Was any of them smiling?
Well, here's the thing. They all kind of disintegrate away. It's like they're
like
layers.
an onion?
Yeah. So
Okay.
and so the different faces kind of disintegrated away, and what I'm left with at the end frightens me a little bit. But then I say to myself in my head, I'm not scared, show me more. And then I see that face like as pure as what I'm seeing your face here now. then I go back to sleep or whatever.
I mean, that right there is hypnotism. I mean, that's something that you would be taken on, or even through guided meditation. We would peel back that layer to get deeper into the subconscious. Like what? Because your subconscious hides things from you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is your subconscious not wanting to hide? There's a lot of people that believe there's pre-programmed information that's already in our head, and some of us are meant to access it, some of us are not. Some of us access it later in life and things like that, that information is already there.
So whether or not you believe in, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'll probably be laughed at by Santosh, but I took an online chakras test. It asks you a series of questions, you answer like basically, very much so or not at all so, kind of a range.
Mm-hmm.
And then it tells you based on that kind of your chakras or chakras, I guess, and if they're open, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
all of mine.
And that's the stuff I believe in. And Santosh and I have gone back and forth on this. I have very different opinion than him. But I don't, I'm open too. So it's like,
right.
But anyways.
So based on that, everything is overactive except for my third eye, which is just open.
Right now, I would absolutely say that.
So, but yeah, so that's the next thing. So then, I've had a lot this week. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Lay down that creepy ketchup, that mystic mustard, that myopic mayonnaise.
Yeah. So, fast forward to yesterday. I was getting ready for work. It was the holidays, so my kids were out of school. They were still sleeping. My wife was sleeping because she was going to stay home with him. And so I'm getting ready, and I'm taking a shower, and in the shower, it's just like I later related it to a download. I mean, it was just all of a sudden, it was just this flood of theories and ideas and information, all kind of related to like Hellier and the Mothman prophecies and even other things that are going on. Just kind of in the world like poltergeist and ghosts and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm like, I get out real quick and I drive and I get dressed and like I leave and I sit in the garage with my camera on my phone and I document everything that had happened up to that point. And that took like 9 minutes. And then I continued to document everything else that was just flowing in. I think I made a couple videos. You've seen them.
And I highly recommend that to anyone. Anytime anything like that happens, get your voice recorder out, get your video out, record that stuff so that you can go back and look at it later.
And this may be something that the detail and stuff I may share at some point on like YouTube or something. But I mean, it's just very
or our YouTube.
Yeah. So. But it's just really some spooky stuff. And it was really weird because when it was all done, which it probably took maybe 35 minutes or so for all the videos that I recorded.
Yeah, my favorite part of the video was where you were driving for like 5 minutes and you didn't realize that it was recording. Probably my favorite.
Yeah, I'll make sure to edit that.
No way, man. No way. This is my favorite. I was like, I'm still watching this.
So when I got done, I was drained. I mean, I was just like a couple times in the video, you even hear me yawn because I was just so tired. And even when I got to work, I had to I've got some chocolate covered espresso beans. I had to chew chew 2 of them to just.
I was gonna say, I mean, one of the things that you should definitely learn how to do is to ground yourself and center yourself, especially after something like that. As well as possibly shielding we've talked about before, some things like that. But grounding yourself will really help. But I mean, I just posted an article on Facebook the other day that talked about 86% of Americans or something like that believe that you can be spiritual without a God.
Yeah.
And I 100% believe that. And, as both of us as recovering Christians, we both were in that spirit and felt that God, what do they call it? The same thing the God helmet does.
God helmet does, yeah.
It gives you that elation.
Right.
I mean, it's
church camp.
It's insane. Or, like those praise and worship churches, you know. Like, man, I mean, you really do. It gets intense. And then, getting into the paranormal does the same thing because it's a belief in something that's not there, right? That most people don't believe. And so you have to use a part of your brain that, in my opinion, is the same ones that Christians do to validate God.
Yeah.
Right? We do for, aliens and Bigfoot and ghosts and all of those things. It gets activated and emotion comes with it, whether it's good, bad, scary, fear, all of that stuff can trigger that and, get your adrenaline going, your fight or flight or whatever. And it can drain you. Absolutely.
So it'd be really interesting. One of the things that happen when I have those kind of half awake vision things that go on. One morning or one night, I had actually something creaked in my room, and I had this kind of flush of adrenaline. And in my mind's eye or whatever, all I saw was swirls of green and white. And I'm just wondering what the color has to do with anything. I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I mean, we can look up color meanings and stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, so that was just something I thought of So this is a long creepy catch up.
That's okay. No, man. There's a lot going on, and I mean, both of us can honestly say that our lives have changed since we started doing this together, as well as Hellier has opened up many physical gates and metaphysical gates for us.
Oh yeah. So this is I think it's probably my last one for the day. So this morning, I wake up, and what I typically do when I wake up is I check the numbers on the podcast and see how many people.
I do the same thing.
People have listened, and then I go and I check my email and see what's come in, if we've got any listener stories that may have been coming in, or just email in general. And so I go out and check, and we've got this really strange email that came in, kind of related to the paranormal type stuff, and I start thinking on that, and honestly, it starts to freak me out a little bit. The stuff that came in, especially in relation to the the stuff that happened really for the last 4 days. It's just it was almost like it was building me up to this thing, right? So I'm driving into work. And on the road that I drive in on, I go through a stop sign, and the light kind of catches the glint of something off to the left, and so I've shifted my focus to look at it. It's a freaking Mylar balloon,
just like on
Hellier, in the shape of a star, and it's silver.
That's funny.
So I'm like, oh my God, totally freaking out. Now I get to work and I kind of calm down a little bit, and I'm like, I'm sending you messages. I'm like, hey, we really need to talk.
I know, and I'm like, I'm busy.
Like, go to the bathroom, So, but after I kind of calm down a little bit, I look into it, and it turns. I mean, I don't know if this is related, but there is a house for sale down the road that the balloon was on. So maybe it was just marking that, hey, there's a house for sale back
Once
here.
again, I mean, if we look at destiny, we look at fate, we look at synchronicity, was that house put on the market just so you would see that balloon?
Well,
now, I'm stretching conspiracy to the max right now.
So
right?
let me give you something that might change your view on that. So I came back home at lunch, because I had just like a wall of meetings in the afternoon, and we were.
Man, you were talking about lunch. I thought you were about to say wall of meat. I was like, yes, let's get the knives and forks and go.
Yeah, it's like those the commercials for the old Subway foot-long, like the table-long sandwiches that were always depicted as like a wall of meat, but when you actually got it, it was like
it's nothing.
But so I came home from lunch, and I drive the same route going home that I do going in. And I made a point to look and see where that balloon was. It wasn't tied to anything. It wasn't tied to like for sale sign. It was weighted with like.
Hey, I was like, it's just floating. That's it. That's Pennywise.
It was weighted like with some kind of a tag or something. But it was literally just floating on the corner in the grass. Happened to align, so it's not like it was tied there intentionally to mark something.
Okay, like I said, it's Pennywise, and you need to get out.
Yeah, I don't
don't float down there with him.
I don't do clowns, so that's a big.
I hope not. That's a fetish that I don't want to talk about.
So anyway, that concludes the last I don't know 5 or 6 days since we spoke. My creepy catch up.
Well, let me say, I looked up colors. White represents innocence. of course, which that makes sense. And when we get to green, sorry, I got to go back up here. Green represents nature and growth and harmony. And if we look at growth and nature especially, and then the idea of innocence there, you're still so very new to this, and, but you are growing.
Yeah.
So.
And, of course, when you said green in nature, my thought immediately went to a green man.
Oh, I didn't even think that. Another association of green is based off the green light. It means go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, which is, if my adrenaline's fire, it could be go. Get the F out of wherever.
Right. I mean, it also represents prosperity and money.
So, yeah. So, that's my creepy catch-up. I mean, it has been an eventful week. It has been, let's be honest, a little bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
With freakouts. To say that I wish the next week would be quiet would be a misstatement. I'm really looking to see where this journey takes me.
Same. I seem to be getting caught up in it too, and yeah. So let's I'm already ready to wrap up the show. We haven't even got to the show yet.
Yeah.
So let's get out of spooky news and creepy catch up and move right into our topic. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about another cryptid, diving into some cryptozoology, and talking about the Jersey Devil. And this is really cool. I'm really, really interested. I have a few pop culture-y things that I want to mention towards the end that are kind of cool. So, but yeah, let's rock and roll, man. Tell us about the Jersey Dev.
So, the Jersey Devil is basically said to haunt the wooded pine barren of southern New Jersey.
Yes.
Dubbed the Jersey Devil, it has never been photographed or captured, but it has appeared in dozens of books and films and TV shows, including The X-Files.
Yes, I know that episode. And it's never been captured or photographed because it's elusive.
Well, I mean, there have been photos produced that resemble or look like. In fact, I think there was maybe a few weeks back something that we shared on the Facebook page was some guy on the turnpike or whatever caught a picture of the Jersey Devil, and the picture looks like basically like a goat with wings flapping across the turnpike. So, yeah. But anyways.
Yeah. It's just large Marge.
So, the creature has a horse-like face with antlers or horns sprouting from the top of its head, walks on two legs, ending with cloven hooves or pig's feet.
So already sounding like the goat man of Pope Lick here, as well as like a Wendigo.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. The overall body shape resembles a kangaroo.
Okay, taking it back.
Though it also has wings like a bat.
So it's just meatloaf. It's
There's actually I can't remember the name of it, but on my kids watch My Little Pony, the newer one, and there's a character on there that is voiced by John Delancey, and it's like an amalgamation of different animal parts, and I can't remember what the name of the animal is, but that's what it really kind of looks like to me in my mind's eye. That's what I'm picturing, so we'll have to see if we can find that picture. But some say that it has a tail like a lizard. Others say it has no tail at all.
I mean, this is a chimera left and right.
Right, exactly. The monster is said to kill dogs, chickens, and other small animals, as well as leave spooky cloven hoof prints in snow and bellow a terrifying screech in the wooded darkness.
Hey!
Hey, you guys!
Hey! Come on, I'm hungry! Something like that.
Something like that.
Hey! By the way, his character on My Little Pony is called Discord.
But yeah, I mean, it's like a head of a horse, and like it's got two different types of horns, and it's like got two different types of feet, and yeah. But anyways, that's what it kind of reminds me of reading through this description. So the history of the Jersey Devil is basically. It's a legend dating back from early 18th century. So it's pretty old when you think about
Really? I did
legends.
not know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a 20th century thing.
We get into it a little bit. It comes back around later on in the 20th century, but it really dates back that far.
Interesting.
There's actually mentions of it in some newspaper articles in the 1800s even.
Oh, that's cool.
So there are several variations, but a common story holds that a woman named Mother Leeds, who was believed to have been the wife of Daniel Leeds, gave birth to her 13th child on a dark and stormy night.
Insert thunder.
Rumors claim that she was a witch. Of course. Everything, if you understood math, you're a witch.
Yeah. Well, yes.
And bore the devil's child. Shortly after birth, it changed form, growing wings, hooves, and an equine head. It flew into the air with a blood-curdling shriek. Let's hear that again.
Hey, I'm hungry. Send your dog.
Killing a midwife in the process, and headed towards the woods. Despite its origins and legend, several people have claimed to have seen or encountered the Jersey Devil over the past 250 years. So that's a long time.
That's a long time. Yeah, my information shows that the very first report was 1735. So before we even became a nation.
Right. So think about the I guess what we'll call Anglo-Saxon legends of the Americas.
Right.
That's probably one of the oldest.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That and Black John or Black Pete or whatever.
Yeah. So in a section on the topic in the Encyclopedia American Folklore, folklorist Angus Cress Gillespie notes that the Jersey Devil remained an obscure regional legend through most of the 18th and 19th centuries until 1909, when a series of purported devil sightings inspired a Philadelphia businessman to stage a hoax.
Oh, there it is. And there the skeptics are like, ha-ha!
Aha! There was nothing to begin with.
Always some jerk that screws it up for everybody.
He painted a kangaroo green. He didn't buy like a stuffed kangaroo.
Wait, so this is some P.T. Barnum type stuff.
He had an actual kangaroo, which he painted green, attached fake wings to the helpless creature, and had it exhibited to the public.
Well, what's interesting, if you think about the shape of a kangaroo and you put wings on it, it looks like Pete's Dragon from the Disney movie.
Oh, it's smaller.
Yeah, but it's that frumpy looking.
Yeah. Not the new Pete's Dragon.
Hi.
So the 1909 hoax and others like it inspired future sightings and reports, which continued to this day. All right, so the Jersey Devil's diverse features are strong evidence that it does not and cannot exist as a real animal.
Boo.
The most obvious biologically implausible feature is its wings. They would need to be much bigger and anchored in a more massive musculoskeletal structure to lift the animal's body weight into the air.
Who said it's flying?
Well, it did say it in the beginning of the story. It said it flew towards the.
Oh, well, that could be. If I'm flying out of here, dude, right? Maybe it's just like an ostrich, man. It doesn't actually use its wings.
It just runs really fast.
Yeah.
Well, the two cloven hooves could help with that.
Yeah. See, it can gallop out of his side saddle.
I don't think you could gallop with two legs.
We had to do it in gym class in elementary school.
That's true. We did. So. So an anchor to a muscular structure to lift the animal's body weight into the air. Birds and bats can fly because their bodies are relatively lightweight. Now, they're assuming that just because it has the body of a goat and the head of a horse, that it's not a hollow on the inside. Maybe it just needs love.
Yeah. Like a bird is hollow, for sure. We don't have any to do
an autopsy on.
Yeah. So
well, they probably have some somewhere.
Skeptics.
I tell you what, buddy, when you capture one and tell me that it's not hollow on the inside, then I'll believe you.
Take that.
Yeah. So they have, birds and bats have Heavy muscles and thick limbs, the Jersey Devil would never work. You'd have better luck putting butterfly wings on a rhino.
I would watch that.
Like a lot of butterfly wings?
Hey, do you remember that cartoon, The Wuzzles?
Vaguely.
Very like Disney cartoon. It was like a mixture, animals mixed, like 2 or 3 different animals would be merged into one.
There was like a bear with a elephant nose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there was like a hippo that had butterfly wings.
You know what? I think you're right.
It's not a rhino, but man.
So it doesn't say how many butterfly wings. I mean, you could cover a rhino with 1,000 butterfly wings and it might fly, you know?
Yep.
You don't know. Plus, you know what? Prove me wrong. How about that? Prove me wrong.
Right.
So what's the explanation for the Jersey Devil? Well, there's very little to explain. We have a monster whose origin is obviously rooted in myth and whose features are anatomically impossible. Many of the sightings and reports were hoaxes. Yeah, so one was a hoax, and so therefore all must be hoaxes, right?
Right.
Guilty by association. Though at least some of the eyewitnesses really believe they saw something, it is a mistake to look for one specific root cause for all the Jersey Devil reports. After all, descriptions, often at night in the deep woods, vary dramatically. Eyewitnesses who describe huge wings may have seen sandhill cranes, which can stand 4 feet tall and have enormous wingspan, while others who reported antlers may have seen something with antlers. In their book, Monsters of New Jersey, Mysterious Creatures in the Garden State, what a long book title, Lauren Coleman and Bruce Hallenbeck, thanks Gollum, point out that not everything that gets shoved under the Jersey Devil banner really belongs there. Like other states, New Jersey harbors more than one mystery animal. But whenever one appears, inevitably it gets hailed as the latest manifestation of the devil, and so joins the great body of myth, legend, and lore. So that was all that I had on the Jersey Devil. But I wanted to see what else is brewing in New Jersey.
Coffee and tea.
So I went out and looked and had a peek and came across this fellow called the Gator Man. I used to work at a Boy Scout camp, and I used to work for the guy who was responsible for teaching all the kids about the different bugs and things you might find in the forest. And his name was the Bug Man. But he
is the Bug Man.
But he did not look like a bug. So, just going to throw that out there. Jeff Goldblum is the Fly as a Boy Scout camp counselor.
Yeah.
So, in the summer of 1973, again, a lot of this stuff, man.
73?
But anyways, the residents of New Jersey's Newton, Lafayette area were plagued by what eyewitnesses described as a large humanoid alligator. A local journalist who covered the story compared the creature to an enduring Native American legend about a giant man-sized fish that could never be caught. Perhaps what makes the New Jersey Gator Man stand out the most amongst the other lizard men is the fact that its existence was publicly acknowledged by a state employee. Young men from the tribe Kaningara make crocodile armor in their body, I'm going to say on their body, by a ritual where they get scars that look like crocodile's armor. However, this is probably just a coincidence. The statement came in 1977 when New York City conservationist nationalist Alfred Holstruck reported that the state's southern tier was the apparent home of a scaled man-like creature which appears at dusk from the red algae-infested waters to forage among the fern and moss-covered uplands.
It's just Killer Croc from Batman. Or what's the one from Ninja Turtles? He was like, I guarantee.
Well, what's the Doc from Spider-Man that turned into a lizard?
Oh, yeah, the lizard, Doc Connors.
Yeah, Doc Connors. There you go. Yeah.
He's just called the Lizard.
The lizard, yeah. Are you playing with the? Sorry. So, that is the Gator Man. Now, I came across this, and although this is not possibly a cryptid, I thought it was very interesting and somewhat fitting, and so it's caused me to adjust our podcast schedule, if you will, so that in a couple weeks we're actually going to be going in depth on this particular topic. But this is Indrid Cold.
Oh, no. He's everywhere.
I know.
And, it's interesting because Reddit loves, as they call him, the grinning man or the smiling man for a whole different reason. And they paint him as very frightening as opposed to some other stories that paint him as benevolent and friendly, much like the, what's his name? Woody's daughter. The man that met Indrid Cold.
Oh, Derenberger.
Woody Derenberger. Yeah, his daughter, she talks about the family friend, right? Showed up at the funeral of her dad and everything. So I don't.
Yeah. So, well, and their tales of frightening may come from this particular story. So this is, according to the site that I found this on, this is the first reported meeting with Indrid Cold.
So then this is the two boys.
So this predates
Yeah.
Derenberger.
Yeah.
So Indrid Cold was first seen on October 16th, 1966, when two boys, Martin Moose Munov and James Jimmy Yankitis. Yankitis?
Yes. Sure, Yonkitis? I don't know. Sounds like a disease.
Anyways, in New Jersey, were walking on 4th Street when they saw a surreal figure standing near a fence. As they walked closer, the figure was a tall, bald man wearing a metal green suit who was staring right at them with a huge grin. The idiosyncratic man chased them until they got away from him. UFO sightings were also reported around the area. We actually have a quote here. So,
Jimmy nudged me and said, "Who's that guy standing behind you?" I looked around, and there he was, behind that fence, just standing there. He pivoted around and looked right at us. Then he grinned, a big old grin.
It's like the Cheshire Cat. I mean, we keep bringing up the Cheshire
I know,
Cat, which is really interesting, but
I wonder if there's any relationship there. Maybe the Cheshire Cat was modeled after whatever Indrid Cold is.
Yeah. Well, no, because Carol wrote that long before. Well, unless he met him earlier, maybe he had the first
sighting. I'm not
sighting.
saying it's Indrid. I'm saying whatever Indrid's race is.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they all smile really big.
Yeah. They all smile down here.
Hey, I like your smile. I'm a devil.
It's funny, though, that in their hockey team, the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, it's named after
Yeah,
the Jersey
so-
Devil, yeah.
Anyway, so according to Nightmind, the boys only recalled the more frightening details of their encounter later on. They would recall that the man in the green suit was unusually tall and had unnatural facial features such as the lack of ears and a nose. So, yeah, that I'm sure that's not all that's going on in New Jersey, but that's a pretty good grouping of things there. And like I said, we're actually going to do a more in-depth episode on Mr. Cold in the coming weeks. So be sure to listen out for that.
So something else real quick, because I know 1973 keeps popping up a whole bunch, is that the movie The Conjuring, which dealt with, what's the Perron family?
Yep.
That whole event, that whole thing happened in 1973.
Wow. Well, there's other things that happen like right.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, but there's what's the light fire in the sky? That was like in 76, I think.
Or something like
Like
that.
I mean, it's like the whole Mothman Prophecies book. Like a lot of that stuff is centered around the events that happened towards the end of the 60s and early 70s. I mean, just like a hotbed of activity.
Hotbed, man. And, something else that happened in 1973, which is interesting because we covered the real stories, is that's when the movie The Exorcist came out, was in 1973. So there's, of course, a lot of skeptics that say this all happened because horror became a craze again because of The Exorcist, but whatever.
What's really interesting when I was looking up to see more about this Indrid Cold story, both the location of where Indrid Cold was the first sighting, as well as the Gator Man, both happened in this Fayette Township in New Jersey.
Yeah.
It is like maybe 4 or 5 miles from an old mine that you can actually go take tours of.
Get out of here.
So here you have, the whole Hellier thing with the cave system and the mines and stuff. And then we just did, the story. And so the first introductory meeting with Indrid Cold happens just miles away from a mine entrance. So
wow.
Coincidence?
I think not. Bum, bum, bum.
And now you know the rest of the story. Copyright, sorry.
Speaking of stories, we've got a really interesting listener story this week.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it ties in with something Santosh has shared with me that I shared with you guys on here before, as well as the satanic stuff we talked about. It all kind of ties together, and it was unintentional. It's just that's the story that I found. So this one, again, of course, comes from Haunted History of Kentucky. This one comes from a guy named Cody Frazier, and he was very, very excited to have this read on here. So
cool.
This is a listener story coming from Cody Frazier.
I was told as a young child that if you lied about anything, that the devil would visit you and sit at the end of your bed. Never really believed it until my uncle and my cousin told me about their encounter with what they say was the devil at the foot of their bed. My uncle is an older man now who raised his family in the house that his parents built many years ago. His father is an old regular Baptist preacher, and my uncle is now a God-fearing man himself. His son stayed in the same room he grew up in since he was the only son of his father, and so was my cousin, both only boys out of a big family. But my cousin decided he didn't want to sleep in his room anymore and proceeded to tell his father that he had seen a man with fire in his eyes at the foot of his bed the night before. Frozen with terror, he couldn't move or say a word till the next morning. As soon as he told my uncle this, you could see the fear in his eyes as he decided to tell us that when he was a teenager, he had seen the same thing, or man at the foot of his bed, which was in the same room. Needless to say, they had his father come and bless the house. Now skip ahead a few years. The house is old, but always well taken care of, but for some reason it just starts to rapidly fall apart, from the floor giving out in places and the foundation giving out to big infestations. So they decided it was time to build a new house and have not had any problems since then. Myself, I haven't had any encounters of any sort, but a lot of my family have, including my wife and her family.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean that's that. We talked about Santosh saw that demon that we thought might be a goblin, right?
Right.
One of the Hellier goblins, sitting on the edge of his bed, and that was during that time where all that stuff was going on at Campbellsville with us. That happened to him. So
well, and I'm the more I get involved in this kind of stuff, the less and less that I feel like anything is demonic. Like I feel like it may have ill intentions,
right?
But I don't know that I necessarily say it's a demon per se.
I don't either.
So it's some entity or something that is taking the shape or projecting its shape to be something that would instill fear. Using maybe the lore or the belief system of the area. So, 500 years ago, if it was still around, it may have taken a different shape.
Right, and there are, creatures that are supposed to feed off of your fear. And, and why wouldn't it not use the things that would frighten you the most, a.k.a. the devil, the image that had been created by stealing from the horned god and things like that, turning that, mixing it with Baphomet and all of that stuff like that.
Well, when you think about your night hags, with the red eyes, do they have red eyes because you're familiar with the Mothman prophecies?
Maybe.
And so they're taking aspects of things that you know and maybe frighten you and frighten you more in order to feed off of that frightened energy that you produce when you are scared.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Somebody does.
Yeah, it's not me.
The shadow knows.
The shadow knows. But yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here. This has been a very eye-opening episode, not just on the Jersey Devil stuff and Injured Cold, but just our creepy catch-up. I'm very interested to see. This is starting to sound like a scripted podcast now. It's like I'm interested to see what's going to happen on the next episode. You know what I mean? Like,
and I will say that as you all are listening to this, if you're like, wow, I've had similar experiences or whatever, reach out. We are available on every social media outlet except for probably Tumblr and Pinterest.
Yeah.
And you can also get us at fearscapepodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our website, which is fearscapepodcast.com. There's a leave a message link there. There's a contact us link there.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook, Twitter, hit us up, direct message us if you don't want people to know. Email us. We want to know. And if you want us to share something but you don't want your name, tell us to say anonymous or give us a fake name. We'll totally do that for you. But we are more interested in your stories than, say, the Jersey Devil. Right? We want to know your stories because the truth of the matter is that we want to believe. We are on a search for truth and understanding. And
journey.
Your stories help fill in some of those gaps for us and the rest of our listeners.
Well, and I'll be frank, it helps me to know that there are others going through what I'm going through because then I don't feel so alone.
Absolutely.
That was one of the things that the Hellier documentary really helped for me was that there are other people who are going on this journey with me, right?
Absolutely.
And so we're going on this journey with you. And so share, if you feel so led or if you feel comfortable, please share with us your experiences. And we'll
And make sure wherever you're listening, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, any of those places, make sure to rate and review and, share that to, the more people that we can share our crazy theories with, the less, insane we feel.
Well, and if
Give us a platform.
Right.
Hey, give us a platform.
But this has been a great show, and every show it seems like gets better and better and better.
Better, and I love if you enjoy a lot of listeners let us know that they love the seriousness as well as the lightheartedness that we like to have fun and be goofy. I mean, I'm a comedian, that's what I do, but I love paranormal stuff. So, but like I said, we're gonna get out of here. So send your stuff to us, stories, all that jazz. And make sure to tune in every Wednesday for a new episode of FearScape Paranormal Podcast. And on that, this has been Stefan, and I will catch you on the flip side.
This has been Josh. The truth is out there.
All right, folks, remember, hold those blankets extra tight. Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks.
I'm so glad you were able to join us for that horrifying discussion. I hope they didn't frighten you too much. Tune in next week for even more research into the nightmarish and haunting creeps and spooks that we tell ourselves don't exist, but we know they do. Make sure you have your blankets, that you hold them extra tight. Next time on FearScape.